is devotion, bhakti. So we know the offering for this age is the Hare Krishna mantra. It's the only thing that works in Kali Yuga, despite Kali Yuga being so Kali Doshini Jalajan, it's an ocean of faults. But there's one good thing about Kali Yuga, Kirtana Deva Krishna Mukta Sankara Param Prajit. That by chanting Hare Krishna one can get liberation. So this is the offering for this age, Prabhupada describes. We don't have to do anything else but to chant Hare Krishna. And then from that offering, that's also an austerity. That's the austerity that we perform, is the chanting of Hare Krishna. Of course, it's blissful to stand in front of the deities and chant Hare Krishna. But sometimes it can be an austerity to chant our 16 rounds, and we have to force ourselves, I have to do this. Because it's an austerity. And it's the austerity for this age. And by doing this austerity, by doing this offering, we don't have to worry about anything else. Like in former ages, they would have to worry about appeasing so many demigods to make nature act in a way that they want. All the Vedas, they're basically about the offerings to nature, to demigods. And why do you make offerings to demigods? You do because they control nature. So you live in nature, and if you want nature to be good and perform according to your desires, you have to do all these offerings. So that's why they did all the Brahmins, they did all these offerings in former ages to control the nature. So that nature would rain at the proper time, and be enough rain, not too much, not too little, and everything would be very nice. We can see nature nowadays is not very nice. Actually, Mother Nature is very angry, and that's why there's all these earthquakes and storms and hurricanes and earthquakes and floods and everything and all these things. It's just the Mother Nature. She just shakes her hand a little bit and there's an earthquake. Because she doesn't put up with such a sinful population as is at the present on her surface. At the present, the whole population is completely sinful. They slaughter so many living entities daily in slaughterhouses, and they call it civilization. It is completely uncivilized to slaughter so many animals. Even Tolstoy, he said, as long as there are slaughterhouses, there will be battlefields. So people, they don't understand all this war, which is at the moment. Like sometimes, I remember we learned in school that now it's been 40 years of peace since the Second World War. But actually there's not been so much war as there is right now. So many regional conflicts and wars all over the planet. And just because it's not a world war, it's still a war. A civil war is still a war, and it's still people are still dying. It doesn't have to be a world war to be, a real war. So the whole planet is called the age of Kali. It's the age of strife, of quarrel, and fighting. So it's of course the symptoms of the age is people are fighting over nothing. You can read in the 12th canto all the symptoms of Kali Yuga. And one of the symptoms is that people will fight over nothing, absolutely nothing. But they will still be fighting. So there's the only solution out of this material subades, how do you say that? Subades. Out of this material subades is to chant Hare Krishna. There's no other way. It used to be that we could do stuff materially, and we could follow, because there are so many rules and regulations in the Vedas how to actually make a proper society. But all that is it doesn't work in Kali Yuga. So the only thing that works, because it's beyond the material modes. So Hare Krishna is not affected by the negative influence of Kali Yuga. It even says Kali Karmashanashanam, that Hare Krishna mantra is the only thing that can protect against the negative influence, the evil influence of Kali Yuga. So this is what we do. We chant Hare Krishna and we worship the deities. And why do we do that? So people can come in and look at Krishna. It's not that Krishna, he likes, to just stand there and look all the time. It must become boring for him. But Krishna also does austerities. He's standing there year in, year out, so that people can come and have a look at him and see, and so he can see the people, and so they can see him. So Krishna also does austerity to benefit the people. And his devotees do austerities to benefit. That's why we do all these things. It's actually to benefit all the people out there in the world, to get them to come here and chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam. And if they don't come to the temple, we even go out on the streets and sell books and prasadam and all these things. And I'm very impressed by this tiny little temple in Denmark. Of course, Denmark is one of the most tamasic countries on the whole planet. And so that you have this nice temple here and you actually do a lot of preaching and missionary activities is just very impressive. I'm very impressed. I've become very proud of being Danish when I see you Danish devotees. And I feel a little guilty that I'm not here, that I'm in Mayapur, in the spiritual world where everything is so easy and it's so easy to be a devotee. It's basically like being in the spiritual world, being in Mayapur. But you take the austerity to be in this little Lorteland and preach. That's amazing. And that's an austerity, it's a fact. It's a real austerity. It's an austerity to be a devotee oneself, and it's an austerity to engage people. And that takes sense control, so we control our senses. How do we control our senses? Simply, it's very, very easy. Like Prabhupada said at one point, we'll just eat our way back to Godhead. We control our senses by taking prasadam and chanting Hare Krishna. That's how we control our senses. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any comments or questions, Mataji?
Yeah, it's just, sometimes when the school children, they come, in order to get them to chant enthusiastically, I usually say that, you're not fanatics and many names of God, and this Hare Krishna mantra is one of them. And in this way they feel at ease and they easily chant along. But now you said that the Hare Krishna mantra, we know that it's transcendental to the three modes of material nature. And so these other names, I was thinking, like Jehovah,
Allah, all these names.
Are they also actually transcendental to the three modes of material nature?
No. Because they're man-made. Jehovah, Allah, they're made up at a certain point in time, so they're not eternal. They're made up by human beings at a certain point in time, so it's an invention. Of course, it's better, like they say in the Bengal, a blind uncle is better than no uncle. So it's not bad to chant Allah, Allah like they do, or Jehovah, or Manitou, or whatever is in your tradition. Prabhupada said that. You should chant the names of God from your own tradition. But they don't even do that. Like in the Bible it says, hallowed be thy name. Hellig vorde dit navn. But they don't even know the name. Or they say it's Jehovah. What does Jehovah just mean? It's one who is. The one who is. It's not like a name, it's more like a description. And even though they say they have so much emphasis on God's name, in God's name they say, but they don't even know what God's name is, and if they know it, they don't use it. We're actually the only ones who sing God's name. They sing psalms in the church, but they don't sing God's names like they're supposed to do. Prabhupada, he said that when he was asked by some journalist, what do you think you can accomplish by coming here? And he said, I have not come here to convert you to a Hindu. I've just come here to make you better Christian or better Muslim, to make you a better religious person. And if you follow your own tradition, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you actually really want to know God, know about philosophy, you have to come to the Vaishnava religion. It's the only religion in the world that can tell you who God is, what He does, where He is, how and why He created the world, what the soul, who the soul is. No other religion has any answers. You ask a Christian priest, you go and ask the Pope, who's God? What do you mean? He's the creator. That's all they can say. He's the creator. Yeah, big deal. So what? Everyone knows that. But they can't actually tell you who God is and what He does. We can tell you so many things about God, Krishna, how He plays with the boys in Vrindavan. And it's actually quite funny, because even when Krishna wants to be God, he delegates it to Vishnu. He can't be bothered with all this creation of the material world and all these things. That Vishnu does that. He's expansion. But when Krishna does what he likes to do best, what does he do? He chases after girls and serves the cows. Then takes care of the cows. It's a cow. It's a Vaishya. It's a funny accent. Krishna is actually not a Kshatriya. He's a Vaishya. He's not a Brahmin. Of course, Krishna is God, so he's transcendental. So it's meaningless to put these designations on. But we see that when God does what God likes best, what does He do? He plays in the forest with his girlfriends, with his friends, and with the cows. I think that's pretty far out. If you tell people about God, they always think about this Almighty God. I mean, we had that too. That's Vishnu with 4 arms. But Krishna, He's so sweet. And that's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that. He says the most amazing, of all these things that Krishna does, the sages are constantly bewildered by the Krishna, and what they are most bewildered by is that He acts like a normal human being. That's what bewilders them the most. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Krishna acts like a human being. He displays, just like when who was that? Shalva. He was fighting Shalva. And Shalva, he's this demon, he had this flying thing, and he dragged it down. And then they were fighting on foot. And then at one point, Shalva, he was becoming desperate, so he resorted to illusion. So he made an illusion of Krishna's father, Vasudeva, and cut off his head. And Krishna, oh my father. So he actually started crying. God. But then Krishna said, oh wait, Balaram, he's protecting Vasudeva, and Balaram is God. Okay, so I have nothing to worry about. It must be an illusion. But just the way Krishna plays. Or like when they're in the Swanvara with Draupadi, and Arjuna comes in disguise as a Brahmin. Arjuna comes in disguise, and then Balaram and Krishna, they are up there amongst the spectators, and Krishna leans over to Balaram. Hey, isn't that Arjuna? It looks like Arjuna. Balaram said, yeah, I think it might be Arjuna. So there you have God. He's the super soul in everyone's heart. God, He's leaning over to God and says, what do you think? It's just so funny. Krishna is just so funny. Acting like a normal human being. Yeah. Any other questions?
I'd like Krishna has 3 kinds of relationships. We can.
No, 5.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. You mean those 5 basic relationships?
Yes.
Yes.
And do we also have them here in the material world? Or
Yeah.
do we have them together with devotees also?
You could say that.
Okay.
You could say that because like you will have a husband that's like a Madhurya Rasa. Of course, it's a perverted reflection, but you could say it's the same. And some persons you are more neutral with, that you don't know so well. Some are your friends, and some are your parents. So yeah, you have the same relationships in the material world. But they will, of course, they cannot satisfy you in the way that they, because just like you are the mother, you love your child, so in the same way you have to love Krishna. And then when you do that, that's perfection. Because you can love your child, but it doesn't help you or the child. It's a nice feeling and you feel good, but it doesn't save any one of you from death. But when you start treating Krishna as that child, Krishna as that friend, Krishna as that husband, and love him like that, then you become eternal. And you get out of the material world, which is what we want. It's not a nice place.
You talked about austerity as being the means of success. So I was just thinking seems to be austerities on different levels. For example, you mentioned your old friend Paul, who did material austerities and achieved some material success. But also, like, some of our process, except for just chanting, which is our main austerity, we also do different things like reading and remembering and all this, and trying to cultivate knowledge.
Yeah, you go out with books, that's a big austerity. I remember when I went out with books, the first 5 minutes I was scared, shitless. Go out and face all these people. Of course, then you get into it, but always, every day, I would be scared to go out. It's an austerity. Big austerity. But, so...
I was just thinking about, like, the success of that austerity, because
you mean as a devotee?
Yeah, because there are many aspects of the mercy of Krishna. Like, for example, one thing is that by doing that austerity, then you get some immediate result. And like, so could you talk a little about that success you gain from
as a devotee, the austerities you perform, the successes you feel as bliss in the heart. And that is done by pleasing the devotees and pleasing Krishna. But you cannot please Krishna directly, you have to please his devotees. That's why you have a guru and you serve him. But it's not just the guru, it's all the devotees. We have to be nice to them and please them. And we say you cannot attain Krishna without being blessed by a devotee. What does it mean? What does it mean to be blessed? Like sometimes people say, can you please bless me? And I do like blessing. But blessing just means that you wish that person well. That's a blessing, blessing from a devotee. That you wish this person well. And when we go out in the street, on the streets, and we wish these people well, we have to remember that because we have this very important service of distributing books. And I remember when I did that, sometimes it was hard to wish people well. I knew I should, but I didn't. I was so angry and irritated, and these idiots, why can't they understand? And I just wanted to smash them. But actually, that's just false ego. That's false ego. We have to rise above that and actually wish people well. Even the idiots and the rascals, we have to understand he is a poor soul, fallen in the material world, doesn't even know. What a poor guy. So much in Maya, he can't even understand this. So when you wish him well, you actually bless him, and that means that maybe next time you meet him, he will be more receptive, or he will meet another devotee. So we have to be very careful that we bless people in this way by wishing them well. And that comes by all these realizations, they come by our austerities. The main austerities is distributing books and chanting Hare Krishna and getting up early in the morning. Actually, the whole life of a devotee is austerity, because it's, from a mature point of view, it's so unnatural what we do. We do everything that the body doesn't want to do. Like the body doesn't want to get up early. The body doesn't want to do all these things that we do. Cook for Krishna when he wants, not when we want. Chant the holy name, spend 2 hours every day chanting our japa and stuff like that. It's but the result is bliss in the heart. We become more and more satisfied, and that is the proof that the process works. And if we don't become more and more happy, there's only one answer: we are committing offenses. Of course, we commit offenses to the holy name by being inattentive, by doing all these things that we are not supposed to do. But the only thing we can do about that is to keep chanting the holy name. There's only one solution, and to the offenses to the holy name is to chant the holy name. It's not that we should say, oh, I can't chant because I'm offensive, so I'm contaminating the holy name or something like that. No, the holy name cannot be contaminated. So the only way to get over and to rectify our offenses to the holy name is by chanting the holy name. But when we commit offenses to the guru or the devotees, then that will stop for some time at least our bliss or development of satisfaction. And we will instead develop material desires. That's a typical, like if a person develops a lot of material desires and leaves a temple, he thinks he's doing his own, he's following his own will, but actually it's Krishna kicking him out because he's been offensive. So we have to guard very carefully against being offensive. Offensive doesn't mean that you cannot tell somebody devotee if you say, hey, you're a nonsense, you're doing this wrong. That's not offensive. Offensive basically means that you don't like someone. Like I remember when I became as a devotee and joined the devotees, I was very surprised because in Hare Krishna I met the most intelligent people on the planet, and I met the biggest idiots on the planet too. You know, I never met, as a karmi, I never thought I met such idiots as I met in devotional service. And it's very hard to not become affected by that. Because some people, the modes, your modes are completely incompatible. So that's why many devotees, they don't like each other, but that's actually not how it's supposed to be, because you're supposed to rise above the modes of material nature, and we're supposed to see, here's this person trying to serve Krishna, and I should like that person because he's trying to do that, because Krishna loves him, therefore I should also love him. So when we become mindful about these things, and reflect about them, and think about them, and see, and we have to more and more see other, especially devotees, but even the karmis, as parts and parcels of Krishna. Especially the devotees, of course. You should see them. This is Krishna's part and parcel, and Krishna loves this person, so I should also. I don't know if you had that problem, but I had that problem in the beginning. Devotees I didn't like, and some I liked, and devotees I would feel more attracted to, and devotees I would feel completely repulsed by. It was actually not, my accident helped me. I had this accident 5-6 years ago. And that really helped me in that regard, because up until that it had always been something that was, you thought about devotees, oh, him I like very much and him I don't like so much. But then after that accident, I saw how much devotees were helping me and praying for me. I just started appreciating devotees so much. I saw when we came back to our house how I couldn't do anything. They had to put my dhoti. Jahnudvipa would put my dhoti on, and they would cook for me, cook for us in our house, and they would just help us. And I just realized, wow, how dependent I am on the devotees. And I really started to appreciate devotees after that. Much more than I had done. But it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that you have to have a head-on collision with a Tata truck, because I'm such a blockhead. That's what it takes. That's how I have to learn. But you are more intelligent. So you will learn by your intelligence telling you, and the devotees telling you, and you will understand these things. Martha, do you have a question?
Det er nok fordi, at det er tiden er
Det er skoleklokken.
Okay. Thank you very much for your kind attention and presence. Hare Krishna. Rantarashriya Bhagavatam ki. Jai. Prabhupada ki. Jai. Siddhi Gurutara ki. Jai.
Namo Vishnu Krishna